Hi, my name's Gregorio and welcome to the Tiny Vinyl Sessions. My favourite things about being a musician have always been off the stage. It's when musicians get together, conversing, rehearsing and playing in a small practice room and the conversations that happen inside of that. This podcast is about giving you a window into that world. So every session we record 3 live tracks at a local business that you can find wherever you listen to music, then followed by a conversation about craft and a life in music. Today we're at Lola's bar in Airlie Beach, talking and playing with Simon Briley, who's a fantastic local musician and a good friend of mine. So a huge shout out to Lola's bar for supporting this podcast and letting us film in their beautiful space. If you're ever in Airlie Beach, go check out that bar, it's great. We're going to kick off the session with Simon Briley's Sound and Echo.
Ruminating on thoughts that don't serve you, or fear of what the future holds. Life's lessons are in the moment, so let the lessons unfold. A sound and echo, time to let go. A sound and echo, it's time to let go. Sound and echo, it's time to let go. Sound and echo, it's time to let it go. Oh, I just want to breathe, feel the air beneath my wings. It's time for new beginnings. Now I can see the only thing that's in my way are the negative thoughts that I portray. I'm cutting loose these chains that starve my oxygen. I let them consume me for far too long. I'm seeing a brighter day, I'm feeling a better mindset come my way. It's true what the people say, a smile goes a long way. So when you're feeling blue and you feel the world is caving in on you, find a new solution and let it rest. Don't be consumed by negative stress. Breathe in deep and hold, then let it go and release the mold that lies in the very depths of your regrets. Sound and echo, it's time to let go. Sound and echo, it's time to let go. Sound and echo, it's time to let go. Sound and echo, it's time to let it go. My man Nick, you. Sound and echo, it's hard to let go. Sound and echo, it's hard to let go. Sound and echo, it's hard to let go. Sound and echo, it's time Nice.
It's good. I just got to try not to overthink, because like as soon as you start doing it too many times, you start just like thinking about too many things.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah. Let's just get one good one in the can and then we've
got one more.
Yeah, one more. Yeah, I like the solo on that one. It was good. Especially with the chromatic run up to the boom sound and echo. Yeah, it's cool. Very cool.
No, yeah, like I didn't want to. So there's nothing. This is like kind of informal. So it's meant to be not a stressful conversation.
There's no stress. No stress. I'm very calm. Yeah, I'm cool. I'm collected. I'm ready for it.
How'd you feel about what we just did?
Yeah, great. Yeah. Feel really, really good. Yeah, it's fun. It's I haven't been playing original shows that often recently, so it's quite. And as always is the case, now there's about 5 or 6 in the diary suddenly, and it's like, oh, I've got loads. I've got to practice my originals again. So this is the first one, and we, we've done a few rehearsals and stuff. So that was good to get into a room with you and try and work it out, especially doing stuff like Blackwing and stuff, which is a piano-based song. Moving it into a guitar space is really cool. So it's something that I really, really want to focus more on is playing more original shows and stuff. So having an opportunity to come and do this and have a get the sound going and all that sort of thing is a good thing.
Grab my
so I felt that it went well. It's fun to do. It's fun to bring it into a room with another player, isn't it? Often we spend our days on our own making music, and especially for solo artists, which you and I both are, kind of thing, and we get in other instrumentalists as and when, but a lot of the time it's quite a lonely existence out there, isn't it?
Well, yeah. Like, do you feel? Because one of the questions I am going to ask is like, because when you're younger, you always wish, like you're like, oh, I want to be a musician, and that looks like a certain thing, and the way that you picture it. But what we do is a lot different to what I imagined. It's almost like that trick. It played a trick. I was like, I want to be a professional musician. I didn't give it any like qualifiers, or be like, but not do that and not do that. So it's like when people think of a life in music, they always are picturing, bigger things like festivals and, that idolized version of what it is. And it's funny because I think we're always trying to still get to that, because like that's not a negative thing. Like it's like those things, those bigger stages and those bigger places are great. But yeah, like when you thought about yourself playing music, and I know that you came to like playing solo shows and cover gigs and all that stuff when you came to Australia, basically, when you landed in Airlie. That's when you started, right? Yeah.
So music for me has always been a thing. I mean, for me, I probably didn't really decide that I wanted to do music full time until I went to university, and then I went to do sport. I was doing sport a lot when I was younger, and music was always there, but I was playing a lot of sport, and I really loved that stuff. And so I went to sport university, and I was there for 3 months, and then that was only really the time. I'd been in a band before that. I'd started this band, which actually is the band that we ended up touring with and doing all that stuff with, but we'd started this band by the time I was going to uni at 18, and sort of 3 months in, I was rolling around. I remember I met one guy on the whole campus who loved DJing, and he spun vinyl, and so it was really cool. So like and in his dorm room in halls, and actually I wasn't in halls. I was out of the university for my first year because I wasn't going to go to university anyway, but ended up going, and then was searching around for the people like me in a way, and trying to find the creatives and people that I could make noise with. And I found this one guy who spun decks, but everyone else was really, really into the sport. Obviously, because there's another creative outlet, and that was their creative outlet. So I found it really, really difficult, and that was the first time in my life I was like, oh, actually I don't want to be doing sport in a professional sense. I want to be doing music in a professional sense. And thankfully enough, I was always brought up in a space where my parents and my family were very supportive, and very...
like your whole family is extremely musical as well.
They're creatives as well and stuff, and my dad especially, and my granddad and my uncle, and they all play, and so it's always been around. And so it was it's funny now I've gone and had sort of 15 years in a professional sense of music. I feel I know less now than I ever have, sort of thing. So it's such an interesting thing, music, because irregardless of making it money from it, the thing in itself, music, is something that you will never conquer. You'll never complete music. It's not like Crash Bandicoot. It's literally forever explorative. You can delve into it and go so far into it and just realize it keeps on going. And the best player, I always like to remind myself that the best players in the world, and my favorite players like you guys have practiced loads, and then you've continued to practice loads, and they're still practicing, whereas I was fluffing around, doing sport, playing a few gigs here and there. I didn't really get into the right, I need to nail this every day until I was probably, we're a bit older, mid-20s probably is when that happened.
Is that how do you feel about, is there something that you said that there's a bit of you're now starting that deep fucking walk up into the lane of learning more and more about the depths of I'm assuming you're talking about like theory and understanding
lots of things, understanding craft, understanding what people want to hear, understanding song. I felt that I was always okay with lyrics. I felt like I always had something to write. I write often anyway, in journals and all that sort of thing and stuff. So I'd always have been writing and loved words and how words resonated. And I was working with great musicians in this original band that was kind of my into the professional world back home, and so our songwriting was really strong. So that always felt really good. But what
was the name of it again?
We Are Bandicoot was that was our band, and so we got signed, and then we came out here. Eventually we were touring around and stuff, and we weren't ever doing covers. I was never playing cover music, and it was always about songwriting. And every show I played was an original show. I never played a cover show, and if we did, it was very rarely, and usually for a mate who was having a party, and we were okay, we should learn some covers and play for them.
Fill out 3 hours.
Fill out 3 hours for them because it was our mates,
And that was the process of that band was what you imagine, right? You imagine a band getting together, rehearsing, playing.
It's very much that cool, very much the idyllic way of we think about it, 4 mates, all went to school, all jammed together, knew each other from nothing, came through, got signed, started to get some traction. And then, at that point I realized how the music industry was kind of working, and to really make money or to survive as a musician, I'd need to be quite malleable. The dream is to be in an original band and to be writing your own songs and to do this. But I know phenomenal players, and yourself including, and phenomenal guys that are writing great songs, and yet they're not at the top of the industry, even though I perceive them as some of the best players I know, and that's just the way it is.
Well, that's the weird inversion of it all, isn't it? It's not an inversion, because it's I think you said it to me ages ago, and it stuck with me, because it's I feel like the people that really get the most acknowledgement from everyone, you feel like the best guitarist in the world is Eric Clapton or something. They say that, but to me, that's definitely not even close to the best player in the world. And they're the most accessible in the sense that they've brought enough of the weirdness that comes from the world, the jazz and the classical and the blues and the that world, and they brought it into the mainstream realm. And I can't remember, you said it in a really concise way, but I can't remember how you said it. But I always think about that now, and that has impacted my thoughts around not feeling so irritated by that as much.
I know what you're saying. I completely agree. But the music industry is a funny one, because again, we work in a band with a guy called Caden McCarthy, and he's a fantastic songwriter. And I love what he does. He's very clever with words, and he's very succinct in his songwriting, and he's great with riffs actually as well.
He has a really strong vision as well, what he wants. He knows.
He has a really strong vision, and you know, it's doing the thing and then having like the highest recognition of the thing that you're doing are two different things, you know. We're us writing songs and performing them and coming to play live and doing that side of things. You know, for me, I write songs because actually it's my therapy, you know. I don't really write with anyone else in mind. I usually write from very specific experiences that I have, and and it's just my way of getting it out, you know. You know, whereas I look at people like Caden and stuff, and they're a little bit more like Caden can write from experience very beautifully, and I think he also writes some great stories as well.
That's what
he's got this, you know, he's got this, not to talk about his music too much because it's all about me right now.
This is your one.
But you know, he's great at storytelling is my thing, and that's not really how I again go through my process of writing songs is kind of what I'm trying to say, and then and coupling that with, you know, not playing huge festivals all the time and not being in the top 0.1%. I actually think nowadays, comparatively to when I was younger and in a band, it means very little, you know. And it's like when you meet, I don't know, I don't want to sound too big-headed here, but again, when you meet someone famous or something like that, and you know, many people are like, they'll lose their jizz about it. And then I find him, I'm just like, well, I mean, they're just a normal person, and they're just got like, I see it as more of a business now, you know, and I don't see it as like I find, you know, they're overtired and you're working too hard and they want some rest, and you know, they've got
way more, they've got like as many insecurities as we all do. If anything, you know,
probably slightly more
because it's like, it's a very stressful thing. And like, you know, when I've got the opportunity to be in those situations backstage with bigger acts, it is like this interesting kind of conundrum where you see them and they're way more nervous and anxious than you would expect them to be, or you know, what they're worried about is like the strangest things. And sometimes I think that the experience that we have of, you know, gigging every day, pretty well, not every day, like 5 days a week or whatever, is makes me grateful to have that experience under my belt. Like, even if I mess up, I'm not thinking it's the worst thing in the world. I know that it's a fleeting moment because of how many times we do it. And even on those big stages that we've done, if there's a mistake, like it is a passing moment. You know?
Well, that's the beautiful thing about, you know, you and I, and again with our friend Cade, and we're in this band, is that we all play so much that every time we get on a stage to do something, really, we play well because we all play very well together, and we've got great energy together. But there's no pressure on anything to play well, you know. Like whatever happens, and let's just go and have a really good time together as great mates, venting out, you know, something that we don't usually.
Venting out all the covers.
You know, going a bit crazy and wearing stupid, silly clothes. Me personally, and you know, and just having loads of fun with it, which again, I really do believe that's what music was for me and is for me. Sometimes I have to remind myself of that, but you know,
get lost in like that, like with that, because when you're doing music every day, you're dealing with a very small, you know, people who come to bars at night, people who are passing through, blah, 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 blah. There's like a very specific thing that happens on those gigs for us mentally, everyone who does it quite regularly. And has it taken away, like you said, you have to remind yourself, and is that because...
I to be honest with you, I'd think like my journey, as you know, I've started a recent journey into production. I'm probably a couple of years in now, and so
making leap and bounds as well. Like you just keep getting...
I appreciate that.
You keep getting like, every time you send me stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, this is like getting better and better. Every time you do it.
So for those that don't know, Nick is my guru.
No,
he's my sensei.
I'm the guy who's like, send me a track and I'll listen to it in 7 days and get some bad notes back.
But the notes are great, and it really has helped. And again, surrounding yourself, for anyone that's thinking like, okay, well, how do I do it and how do I get into this world? I would say, realize that it's never going to be a truly individual thing. Like you are going to need to be able to hold good relationships with venues, other artists, bookers, promoters, and then when you're releasing music, you're going to need other producers around you that are telling you what, not that you have to take on their ideas as verbatim, but like, you know, having people's ideas can make you see in a different way, which is a great way to think about music when you're recording it, because it's that world is so interesting to me at the moment, and I'm so obsessed with it. And especially sort of I'm flicking between doing songwriting with instruments like you just heard in those things, and then I'm also flicking between doing electric stuff under another alias called Tinkan Toucan, and that side of things is equally interesting, because again I've got a lot of mates that are producing in that sphere, and they're completely different worlds.
And do you find that, like, because I get this as well, I get very influenced by the people around us, and we're lucky to have some strange influences in this area at the moment. Like we've got like quite a lot of doofs that exist, and like that electronic scene is like quite prevalent, and they're not, you know, it's very different from what we do day to day, but that I found that even having that has influenced the way that I think about producing and the way that I think about crafting like sets or stuff, because you see them do it and they're like crafting a whole set based on like an hour, and like, okay, I'm crafting a set for this hour for this specific time slot. And I found that really interesting.
I've found that really interesting, especially coming up. I've got, as I say, got a few originals coming up, and that's what I've aimed at is making it way more like a DJ set, but with real instruments, you know. An hour of, you know, continuous music is where I'm aiming at. But it's funny because you and I have these conversations often, and you know, our industry, as the world is changing drastically and very fast with the addition of AI and the boom of technology, you know, and the music industry has always been there at the forefront of that, you know, even at the Beatles creating reverse in on
making them build a doubler so
Revolver.
that one of the what is it, like, I can't remember which Beatle, but then so they didn't have to keep doing a million takes.
So everyone, people in the music industry, I think, have always, and artists and stuff, have always, you know, reveled in the idea of taking technology and seeing where it can get to. And then now suddenly we've got where we're at, you know, there's a lot of electronic music happening here, and doofs and festivals that are based solely on electronic music. So it's interesting. And I don't think that the fact that we still do work 5 days a week does show you that there still is a massive want for people that sit down and play their instruments. But we were talking about the other day, actually now you can create songs without knowing anything about music, or even being able to play an instrument with sampling and with AI now. Those two things matched together, you can really start to just, you know, create fantastic songs without
have any pre-knowledge, right?
Nothing.
You don't have to have pre-knowledge of anything. You can just be like, you know, it is where production for like hip hop and stuff came from, which is like sampling and all that kind of stuff, which is they're coming at it from a curator mind, as opposed to, I understand what technically is happening within the music. They're going like I don't know if you saw that there's a new Ableton, it's like update, which is going to have, I think I mentioned it the other day, but it's like Splice, which is a sample library, is included, and it just automatically you can pick samples and things that will automatically change the BPM you're working in, automatically change the key you're in. And then that, to me, is like you're really taking out extra expertise that you need to do that. And then there's also a thing that's implemented, which is like stem separation. So then you can get any recording, and AI is doing such a good job of separating those stems. So you can get the vocal from a track, you can get the bass, the guitar, the drums and all that stuff, and just separate it out and use those as either samples, or that could be, you could be remixing a song and stuff. And I see it as like a really interesting world that we're entering, because like I personally don't mind that it's happening. Like the access for people to be able to make it is kind of fascinating. It does in a way devalue certain things, but at the same time like it brings it back to people who can play it. Like if you can't play it, you can't replicate it unless you're doing a DJ set. And so for me, it does actually bring it back down, ironically, to maybe a place that we were at ages ago, where you need players and you need people who can perform these things, because I don't think it's going to be interesting to watch like a robotic band play the music. And the way that we, like the Olympics or something, we want to interpret it the way that we do as I want to see other humans interaction. It's more about connection. That's like
Happy? Happy as Larry? Got all the frogs out your throat?
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. Yeah.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Swimming in December, searching for the city lights, like it's 1975. We shared each other, nearer them further. The lemon scent drips from your eyes. We are the people that rule the world, a force running in every boy and girl. Oh, rejoicing in the one that take me now, and we can try. We lived in adventure, the feeling was stronger. Chasing the sun till night, reminiscing on other times of life. We are the people that rule the world, a force running in every boy and girl. Oh, rejoicing in the one that take me now, and we can try. I can't do well when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can we be believing now? I can't do well when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can we be believing now? I know everything about you, know everything about me, know everything about us. I know everything about you, know everything about me, know everything about us. I can't do well when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can we be believing now? I can't do well when I think you're gonna leave me, but I'm gonna try. Are you gonna leave me now? Can we be believing now?
Yeah.
Nice. Ooh.
I had some good parts. I had some bad parts.
That's life. That's life.
That's life. Hey, just a quick interruption to say thank you for listening, and I really appreciate you getting this far into the podcast. If you're enjoying this and you want to see this go further, please consider supporting. I've set up a Patreon page and a few other direct ways of financial contribution. And if you know any artists that you want to see on here, please send me a message. And if you're a local business and want to host one of these sessions, please send me a message at nick@tinyvinylcollective.com.
I had another conversation with an artist here called Erin Roos, who we both know very well, and I think she said something to me that was very, made me think and realise. We were talking about social media, and you know what social media can do to anyone's mental health, let alone someone who's trying to promote themselves and their music on there. It can be pretty devastating. And so there's often times where people are, and me included, are like, well, I'm just going to not do this anymore. And she was mentioning to me, and I think it's probably going to be the same with implementing AI in a creative way. If you don't keep up with it, then eventually you get left behind, and everyone else is advancing with the wave and with the trajectory of where the industry is going. I think if you don't learn how to implement AI into it, it's and again, flippantly and conversely, what you and I talk about often is, you know, you can go to Splice, which is now in Ableton. You can get a drum groove, you can get a vocal, you can get any take you want, and it be perfect. And you know, that's so time efficient, which is amazing. And it's really only me that sits there and goes, well, I sit down for 4 hours just to make one drum loop, you know, like just playing in the drums, playing them in how I want them, you know, moving MIDI notes to make it happen.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it means that I'm not going to be able to create a song in 2 minutes like AI can. Do you know what I mean? But I think what will happen is that I'll create something that's truly mine, which is the important driver for me.
Yeah, well, I think it's the important driver for, like, if you were to ask people, like, I don't know, like, it doesn't matter who made the music. It doesn't matter who. I hope that's not like snipped out. I don't care who makes the music. But
this guy.
I do really care who makes the music, but it is also like, after it's made, like, it's consumed in how it's consumed. And I suppose I'm so in music that I don't see it as a threat, because I'm not like, oh, I really need to get. I'm not getting a massive amount of people listening anyway. Like, it's like, so as an individual artist, like, all I have is my individuality. I have my choices that I make as a creative, like chord progressions that I like, that I gravitate towards, like reharms and stuff.
I would say conversely though, as a music maker, creator yourself and myself, the problem is that it could potentially stop off avenues of income for artists, you know, for like streaming services and for like syncing music. People that can get a track to them in 2 minutes using AI of exactly what they want, comparatively to going to a composer and going, can you make this? And you've got a month turnaround. There could be times, luckily we live in a live context more than anything, you know. We do want the syncing stuff and we do produce, you know, we love that's an idea of ours, but I feel that really fortunately that I love playing live, and that is where a lot of I get my money from playing live, you know. So that's
I do find it interesting though, like, I'm like, because the music that AI is taking over is the easier music to make that isn't unique. So like, you know, you can get a bossa nova, because I have been one of those artists that have been paid, like, not me as an artist, like me as an alias, like a fake art, like one of those classic fake artists. I have been paid as a classical guitarist to create classical guitar pieces that, you know, don't have that much personality, because the brief and the way that they were asking for it, they'd be like, if there was something interesting that I thought was the most interesting thing in the music that I loved, I'd be like, oh yeah, I've made this like cool little piece, it's a bit quirky and it sounds cool, and it's got a fast run in here. And then I'd get feedback from the people that were paying me to make it, and they would say, oh, this is really good, but it's too unique, it's too like too interesting, maybe not
attention grabbing in a way, you know, depending if the music is for, you know, background or whatever, you know, like that's again, it's the music's got to serve the purpose that it was made for, which for that thing is like background music to lull the listener. And I do agree, like, I actually don't think AI should be paid, like that shouldn't be taken away from human beings. I think that AI music is going to exist and it's going to be there, but I don't think it should be, the companies should, as a bigger system thing, they shouldn't be given royalties for it. Royalties should just be going to, and that incentivizes them to actually make less AI music, because if they're not getting any money from it. I agree. The problem is that, and we've gone down this, we've entered a rabbit hole here, because you could talk for hours about this, and actually it's probably, you know, leave in the comments what you think about AI music, you know. But it's, you know, it's, the problem is that,
I suppose like my finishing point was that, like, I got asked to make 23 tracks of those. Like, some of them have gone really well in the space that they were meant for, and they've like had lots and lots of plays. Like, I've gotten a little bit of royalties from them, but I immediately saw, as I did it that year, that it was like, this is going to be taken over, because they're asking me to shave off every interesting jagged edge that is my personality within that composition. And so therefore I didn't see much use in pursuing that, like doing it again, like didn't sign up for another contract or something. Because I want to, like if I am going to make classical guitar music, like solo classical guitar music, I want to make something that is an actual interesting song. And so therefore, like whether AI can actually replicate me and my deeper personality, and I think that's what is going to make the differentiation between different artists. Like sure, if I make enough of that music, AI is going to then copy that. Like if it got big enough and you're like, is it Grimes who like has licensed out her voice and stuff?
I'm not sure.
There's a few people that have like...
You might know a bit more than that. The what I was going to get onto was the idea with this royalty idea and all that sort of thing is that actually what we are seeing with, you know, I think it was Spotify, they had that band, didn't they, that came out, that country band, and then, you know, it got millions of streams already.
I think it wasn't a country band, it was like a kind of like an 80s synth.
An 80s synth band. I can't remember. I didn't actually listen to it. I just remember the story. But so they got millions and millions of streams, which does generate royalties, which then goes straight back to Spotify. And Spotify created the band, you know. So now we're looking at a company, and you know we can talk about Spotify even further if you want. Like, that'll go down another thing.
You're still off Spotify?
I'm off Spotify. I've just cancelled it. I've taken all my music off of Spotify. I don't agree with where they're going as a company. I don't agree with how they pay artists, and I do think there are better platforms out there. Is my quick talk about it. If you want to talk more about it, leave a comment in the leave a comment in the comments below. We'll talk further about it. But so I'm doing Bandcamp. Bandcamp's, I think, is amazing because harder to move people there, I think. That's
the issue that I've
create your own field. You know, nurture your garden, and then who is there will look after you. And I think there's links to selling merch on there. There's links to other opportunities on Bandcamp. They waiver their fees first Friday of every month.
First Friday.
So all of the things go to, all of the monetary stuff goes to the artist 100% on that Friday. So again, if you're thinking about why and how to support independent artists and your favorite artists, that's the way to do it, is to put the money directly into their pocket, not into Spotify's pocket first, because Spotify will take the lion's share and then give them literally 0.003 cents on the stream.
Or what you do is you buy the album anyway and then listen to it on Spotify as well. I just think it's like there's just not enough awareness of like that we're all getting screwed. I also think that it's never going to happen because the bigger artists are on the labels, which do have are contractually with Spotify and get paid differently to every other independent artist, and they've got a whole racket going on again, like it was pre-Spotify era. But I think that I would love to see like massive artists, if they all pulled their music down off it, that would actually, to me, that would make a proper difference.
Well, there have been some fairly big artists. I can't remember who it was, but I think Taylor Swift
she pulled it down, but then it snuck back up without us. Like it got taken down, but then it's just like now it's back up.
That's the Neil Young way, isn't it? I'm gonna take off everything, everyone, and then everything goes back up. But I think King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard did it as well. I think there are bands. I think the movement is generally happening. The problem is that it's not the bands. So my brother's in a band, and they're a great little band, Americana bluegrass thing called the Outlaw Orchestra, and they got some good numbers, you know. They've got some, and we were talking because I took my music down off of it, and they said that they want to take their music off it, but they realise that the average consumer, their fans, is using it, and they are wanting to support their fans the most, you know. It's not about supporting Spotify, it's about creating a place that their fans can access the music. And that I was like, well, that makes so much sense. But so therefore what really needs to happen is that the general populace need to go, well, I don't want my music streaming platform to be investing in AI weaponry, you know, which is what Spotify are doing. That's what's driven this whole thing. Old mate, I can't remember his name. Someone that looks like Bezos, but isn't.
It's like a figure of...
that sort of balding white dude. He's put, I think it was like 600 million or billion or it was crazy money went into this AI weaponry tech
company. I see. I'm out. I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. So.
And that's what made me be like, well, you know.
Yeah. Because I
love
was
and peace, man.
I remember when Spotify came out, and it was actually a godsend for me because at the time, like, I think that what it's done, which is like bring everything that we listen to into one area, is great. I just think the business model is fucked for us. Like, I don't disagree with like how convenient it is. It's great. Like, I remember when I was on ships, like I couldn't afford to buy every single track. I had to learn. And Spotify came out exactly when that was happening. And so like I was able to learn lots and lots of songs without, and initially I started buying them straight away until I realized that I could download offline. And this was like early days before we really knew anything about what the money side of it was and all that kind of stuff. And now I find myself like at a loss. Like even when I was learning your music, I was finding it hard to flick between the apps. Like the app isn't as intuitive, like Bandcamp isn't as intuitive, like functionally.
Yeah.
And as a consumer, I'm like, I like Spotify.
Yeah. Well, I can see
also don't agree with it. Like I'm ready to sign off. Like but then I look at all the other platforms and they're not much better except for, you know, Bandcamp is better. But I've actually that's a part of the Tiny Vinyl Collective thing, is to start putting all people's music into that one, and just all of it goes to the artist. Bandcamp, it's like Bandcamp Friday.
There's other ones as well. Remember, you know, there's Tidal. There's
the Tidal. Again, like they're still not paying enough. Like,
they're not paying enough. They're paying a significant amount more than Spotify. You know, and again, let's not talk about art and money. You know, art and money. That's pretty much like what people are talking about. Yeah, we have gone down a rabbit hole. No, I like it. I think there's years to talk about on it, and I think it's a very interesting conversation where our industry's at. The streaming and the subscription model, I think, like you were just saying, I think it is a good one. And I think you're always going to have a platform that does it best. And then, unfortunately, I think Spotify has kind of nailed it in terms of how it's set up and its usability and how it's, but it falls short in every other way.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a tough one. Again, if you've got anything to say about it, leave a comment in the comments below. I'd like to know what people are genuinely thinking about Spotify. I don't know if I want to hear what people are Well, if you're a consumer of music, the funny thing is that, so, you know, every year comes out your artist, your Spotify pick or whatever you've listened to. My one every year is the Vocal Academy warm-up, because it's just so easy to Google in a warm-up, and then good warm-ups come up and you can warm up, and it's perfect. And it's never songs. I never actually am listening, on there and finding much more music, because again, that's something to argue is what are the algorithms feeding you? You know, like, are they going to feed
now? Yeah, so they're actually like artists pay to then have placement. That's another way that they're making money, and that to me feels wrong. But consumers are aware of that, because they've noticed that they'll be on like the random, like find me a random song, or down the streams, and they'll keep getting pushed the same song. Do you know what I mean?
Consumers have noticed that, and again that is such a massive thing. If then Spotify are creating their own artists and then just pushing those ones. Yeah,
exactly.
So it's going to be the end of the world.
The end of the world is basically like that platform is an AI. Yeah. Just everyone's on AI. Anyway, I'll probably ditch the Spotify chat.
Anyways, there are other platforms. My advice to everyone that's watching, hi mum, is to use platforms that provide for the artists who you love, and that often is go to their websites. Most artists, I would say, will have a website, simonbrileymusic.com. Go there and buy it. It's directly off there. It goes straight to the artist.
I think that's the thing. Like, it's like, I remember saying, I think it was my sister was at an open mic night I used to run, and she's like, oh, there's like some, because it was in London and there was some amazing people coming through, like just out of this random one in Clapham Common back in the day. It was like 8 years ago. And she was like, oh, that person's amazing. Like, they got an amazing voice, and they are amazing. And I was like, oh yeah, like you should. And she was like, oh, I hope he makes, like, she didn't say anything like negative, like I hope he makes it big or anything, but it was kind of like, I'm like, yeah, you should follow him, like support, like go actually just find where he's doing his things, like posting things or putting music, and then keep a tally. Like if you want him to do well, like it is a individual person, and that makes a huge change for us on this ground level. Like,
well, again, like you're good at it. I don't have one set up, but I have a few friends that do, like Patreon pages, man. If you give it, like
mine's fallen flat at the moment. It got deactivated because it wasn't being used.
Yeah,
so
fair. It's quite a hard thing to keep on top of. But if even if you loved someone's music, and you give them $1 a month,
huge.
it's $12. It's $12 a year. You know, if 1,000 people do that, that's $1,200 a year just off of their music that they. And that's nothing. That's not even enough money. Do you know what I mean? To survive. Like, that's not even a week with rent and petrol and food and all that. Like, it's done.
Doesn't cover it.
So and it's one of those. But anyways, moving forward. Thank you for everyone that's supporting the music. Love you. Sorry I took it off of Spotify.
No,
if you want to find it on Bandcamp, SoundCloud, all of those ones which are doing great.
One quick last question is that, like, if someone wanted to be in the position that you're in as a professional musician that works like a working, gigging musician, what would you have told yourself or tell another person now? Because it's a hard,
so there's two, it's multifaceted. One of them is, practice as much as possible, get as good as you can do at your instrument. Maybe try and diversify and play multiple instruments. Some obscure ones usually do pretty well. If you can play a trumpet or a saxophone or a violin, then you put yourself in a situation where the pool is smaller to choose from, especially if you live in places like
regional.
We live.
Regional, I notice a big difference. So if you're able to double on something and you are not in a main city, that is massive.
Yeah, it's huge.
Even just being like, we don't have that many backliners, because all of our backliners are soloists who do their own thing. Often I'm like I'm always needing a drummer, but you're always gigging. It's like we need more drummers and bass players and horn players.
And with that, I would say even if you feel that you can't sing, get to a point where you feel comfortable enough to sing. If your voice is your weakest area, work on your voice the most, because being able to sing is, again, as a drummer, I would say I'm okay, but not great. But because I can sing, that often gets me into a gig because I can harmonize with people and play the groove, and that I think makes me again more hireable than a drummer that can't sing in ways, So I would say learn to sing. Any rhythm and piano is so important to everything, but practice. And then the other side of that is, once you've got that down, remembering that it's not just about what you do on stage. Do the things on stage 100% right. So you turn up early, have good gear, do the gig, play the music that is needed for the venue. Don't go and play party bangers in a quiet cafe because they'll think you're too loud and won't book you again. But also don't go and play cafe music in a nightclub, because they want bangers. So knowing what a venue is looking for is important, and you can find that out from other artists that are playing in those venues, so that's a small part of it. But then knowing that 90% of what you do is about what you do off stage, so being kind, caring, making sure that nothing, there isn't anything too much that people can ask you, if they want to, you got to remember what your own boundaries are, but, knowing that you are often the first thing that people see when they come into a venue and look at, and they're also the thing that they probably will talk about the venue a lot of, it's going to be the food and the music probably, and then the ambience, of that venue. So you're going to be talked about. So make sure that off a stage, you're not getting hammered at gigs.
Yeah, that's
in our industry,
especially for beginners.
Yeah,
like when they go, they get excited because, for us who've been doing it for a long time, that's not an incentive for me anymore to get free drinks or have a bar tab. But I often see it's a downfall for a lot of people 100%. Getting into the intermediate stage of, they're getting booked, blah blah blah. but then they'll have too many drinks. They'll be messy. It actually ruins it for the rest of us as well.
It ruins it for the rest of us.
We end up getting like a bad reputation for, being unprofessional.
And then people you see it at venues, a venue recently, I won't mention who it is, but they've changed their policy to be like, right now only artists can have one drink or two drinks. And which is fair, because I don't drink at gigs, I try not to drink at gigs anyway. At most gigs I won't drink. That's just because of my personal preference of wanting to turn up as professionally as possible again.
And it's professionalism, but it's also for your health. Like if you are for a year, like I noticed I've properly stopped drinking. I've never been a big drinker, but I was still having 1 or 2 pints at a gig. Yeah. And you tally that up, that's 10 to 15 drinks a week.
Yeah.
And I've noticed from cutting out all alcohol recently, then my voice has stayed better because I'm not inflamed. Like my throat isn't inflamed.
Yeah.
So I can hear my
And I think that's the beautiful thing about our generation, probably like partied too hard, whereas the younger generation, I think, are coming through a little bit more health conscious.
Yeah.
And I would say that something that improved my playing most and got me to where I'm at really is like the focus on health, and like the last few years, making sure I'm doing cardio and making sure I'm doing a bit of resistance training and living an active lifestyle, because we live and breathe in nights. So obviously sleep sometimes is not as forthcoming as it should be. So
the nights are hard.
You got to look after yourself. You got to make sure you're not eating the kebabs all the time. Like get home, feed yourself well, fuel that body, and look after your voice and stuff as much as possible. So I think those are the main things: is focus on your instruments, make sure that you're prepared to sing, and also think about how you are coming across off stage, even if you're not working, but you're going to a venue that that you work at often.
Be nice to every staff member.
Say thank you to them, because they're there working way harder than you're working and getting paid way less. They're essential part of your business, and they're the ones that get the people G'd up for you. And so that's exactly right. Be loving and kind and to yourself and to everyone around you. And make sure that you're not taking the Michael when it comes to free drink, free food. I've heard horror stories of artists being booked, and they're just giving away free drinks to their mates and venues and like stuff like that. Venues are going to turn around and go, okay, well, this guy is giving away $500 worth of drink, and we're supposed to still pay him. They're not going to do it. They're definitely not going to rebook you again, and they are going to impact the thing for the rest of the artists that come in who aren't doing that.
Exactly.
It's important that you focus on those things, and then just being as good as possible, and surround yourself with people that inspire you, and just keep on working at it. Anything's possible. And to be honest with you, I used to carry the badge of being a musician as like the highest esteemed thing ever, but actually now I have very little ego about it. I'm very fortunate to do what I do, and we are, but actually there's surgeons out there, there's astronauts out there, there's teachers out there, there's doctors and nurses and all this sort of stuff who are they are literally propping up society.
Like there's actual people who, if we fuck up a gig, nothing goes wrong, but if a medical person does it, someone dies. I can cry about my voice, or cry about my
it's funny because I don't think that's actually a common thought in the music industry. I think there's a vast amount of ego in our industry, and it puts me off of so many people I meet, because I'm just like, well, you just think way too much of yourself, and you take yourself way too seriously, and you should be serious about your art, be serious about your practice and what you come across as,
but you can't take yourself seriously. Like you can take your art seriously, but don't take yourself as a human being, realizing what you're doing in the grand scheme of
think you're everything because you've become a full-time cover artist. You're like, well, dude, you're playing you're still playing just Taylor Swift to a bunch of to a crowd in a restaurant somewhere who didn't pay to see you at all. They actually just wanted to go to the restaurant.
You just swap in some other person that looks exactly like you.
Exactly, and plays the same song.
Does exactly, because we all play the same thing that everyone wants to hear. And
so it's just remember, be loving and kind, and don't think you're more than what you are. There's music is beautiful, and there are, don't get me wrong, phenomenal players. You're one of the best players I know, but there's no ego around you, and I love you for that, you know. And you're very giving and forthcoming with getting youngsters involved in it, and me, young people, not that I'm young, but people that are coming into like production and stuff. And I think that's the way you should be. If you've got a high level of expertise and a high level of proficiency, go and teach and pass on that knowledge, because it's an amazing skill that you have done, and that is something that you can do that betters your general being and surroundings, you know.
Well, I love playing with you.
Yeah.
You're one of my favorite people to go to a gig with and do things
fun.
with.
And we get on well, mate.
Yeah, it's nice. Thank you so much for being my first guinea pig.
Yeah.
It like means a lot that you said yes to something that you're like. I was like, I want to do something random with you. Okay. So I really appreciate you jumping on.
Well, and, that's okay. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to seeing how it turns out. And looking forward to having all the others coming out. Keep watching, guys. There's many more coming this way.
On its way.
And it's going to be lots of fun, and put Airlie Beach on the map of how many great musos there are up here, and great venues.
And also, thank you to Lola's for having us at the first one.
Yeah, Lola's bar.
It's again trepidatious. There's a word in there that I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I'd say I reckon you nailed it.
Trepidatious. It is like, scary to be like, yes, I'll let you use our venue for this random thing, and I hope that you don't do a horrible thing.
Yeah.
And so thank you, Lola's, for having us, and we're going to send you all the love on whatever.
Thanks, Lola's. And it's funny because Peta is obviously a musician herself. So
she's very supportive.
It's a venue run by and owned by musicians.
Yeah.
For musicians, and it has that feel in here, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really lovely.
It's a nice spot. So first one. So thanks very much,
awesome.
you guys.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Take time to leave, and you'll take time to leave. You'll take time to leave. My head, my head. Light and free. Your soul's light and free. Your soul's light and free. You're blessed. You're blessed. I'll see you in me. I'll see you in me. I'll see you in me. We're sad. We're sad. Ooh.
good one?
I like that one, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Fun.
Thank you so much for tuning into this tiny vinyl session. If you want to support the artists here or support the podcast, you can find all the details in the show notes. Please share it with your friends. This is my first time hosting something, so I'm still working on my kind of like red light syndrome as a host, and appreciate you being here for the journey. Again, huge shout out to Lola's Bar for having us and taking a punt on some random idea I had. And thank you so much for Simon Briley for being my guinea pig. You were a good friend. It was really fun.